We're now going to move over to the Tools panel and spend the rest of Part 2 looking at the different tools. We'll start off with the selection tools, which are right in this top section right up here, and start off here with the Marquee Tools. Now there are four basic Marquee tools: the rectangular marquee, the elliptical marquee, single row, and single column Marquee tools. These all work basically the same way. Choose your tool and then click and drag on your image to create a selection inside of the marquee area. Now once I have a selection, we can do things with that. For instance, if I paint in here, you can see how the selection is controlling the painting feature. Everything outside is protected, everything inside is open for painting. Let's just undo that brush. I can invert that, select inverse, and notice now that the selection is protecting everything inside and allowing painting outside. Let's just undo that brush tool and I'll invert that again. So that's one thing you can use the selection for. Now I could use that, of course, to do an invert and then do a filter outside. Let's go ahead and just do that real fast. Inverse, and let's do a filter. Let's do a neon glow outside. Something real obvious here. There we go. So I've applied a filter into the area that was controlled by that selection. Okay, let's just undo neon glow and invert that again. Also, if you use the move tool and grab a selection, it actually cuts that selection out and creates it as a floating piece, just like that. Okay, let's just undo that move. To undo a selection, just click on the selection again. It will simply undo. Now you have some additional options up here. We can work with the basic selection. We can add to a selection, and so let me just demonstrate those. I'll do one selection here using this first option. If I make another selection down here, notice that the first one goes away. Let's come over here and I'll choose the second one. Now if I make a second selection, it then adds those two selections together, just like we see up here in that icon. Let's just go back to here and delete that. I'll make another selection, and let's now choose our third option right here. I'll make a second selection right down there, and notice how it subtracts that from the existing selection. So this option adds to your selection, this option subtracts from the selection. The final one will just show you the intersect. Let me just demonstrate that. I'll make a new selection here. Let's go to the intersect, and I'll come back, and we only see the intersection of those two selections. So you can use these tools to control your selections. Now, when we can use the subtract from, let's say I wanted to put a square with a hole in the middle of it. I'll just do this. I'll make a big selection like this, rectangle. Let's go in here to my elliptical marquee tool. I'll do the subtract from, and I'll go like that. I've now subtracted that section from the selection. If I go to my paintbrush tool, you can see now what has happened in here. I've actually used that subtraction feature to cut a hole in that existing selection, just like that. Okay, and let's just deselect all of that. So you have these different options up here to work with your selections. We also can feather a selection. I'm going to set the feathering here at 15 pixels, make a pretty good size. Using the elliptical marquee, I'm just going to grab a marquee like that. There we go. Now as you recall, if I use the move tool, I can grab this and move it. There we go. And actually move that selection around. And notice how I now have a feathered edge, a soft edge in here. Let's change this down to 5, make it a little smaller. There we go. And this time I'm going to do an edit copy right there. And layers, let's do a new layer button right there, hide the background layer. Let's deselect that and then edit paste, and notice how it pastes in that feathered edge. I'm going to put in a new layer below this, and let's fill this layer with our background color, with our white. There we go. So you can really see that feathered edge in there. There it is, real plain. So that's what the feathering in here is all about. Anti-alias just smooths out the edge, and we can use a fixed ratio or a fixed size on our shapes. If I used fixed size, for instance, I can just type in a fixed size here and make specific sizes for my shape if I had to have my shape an exact size, the marquee an exact size. Let's go back in here. I'll hide those two layers. Go back to our background layer again. So you've seen the rectangle and the elliptical. Look at these real fast. Single row does just that. It will then make a selection of just a single row. If I zoom in on that, down to the actual pixel level, you can see there it's actually making just a selection of just one row of pixels. Same thing for the column, makes a selection of one row of columns. Now this is occasionally useful if you need to make a background or something that repeats on a web page. You can use this to create a single row or a single column to create your background section, or if you want to put in a single line, you can do that. So there we go. That's working with the Marquee Tools, and they're one of our prime ways of creating selections for everything else that we do. And working with selections is very important when you're working in Photoshop using filters and so forth, because selections allow you to be very specific on where you want to place your different effects. For instance, our cannon over here, I use the selection tools to come in and actually clean out the background of the cannon, which then allows me to take this cannon and place it into a different background, actually insert it into a different picture. So that's the Marquee Tools right there. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this video, click on the like button below to let others know. You can click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. I'm frequently uploading new training videos. Don't forget to check out my website at howtogurus.com. You can share this video with your friends and coworkers. Just click on share and then click on the social media buttons. Feel free to comment on my videos. I try to answer all comments as quickly as I can. And finally, you can get all of my training videos on DVD at howtogurus.com. Thanks again for watching.